This is our Colts preview for 2025.
You are Locked On NFL Scouting with the Draft Dudes, your daily podcast for NFL and college football scouting. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's better than this? It's guys being dudes here on the Locked On NFL Scouting Podcast. We're the Draft Dudes. I'm Joe Marino from Locked On Bills. He's Kyle Crabbs from Locked On Dolphins. And we are your NFL experts here with you daily to talk team building across the league on the Locked On NFL Scouting Podcast with the Draft Dudes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Want to issue a big thank you, shout out, and welcome to our everydayers. Those of you who never miss a single episode, we appreciate y'all being here very, very much. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins.
Joe, happy Wednesday, July 2nd.
Happy Wednesday, yes.
We have 4th of July in 2 days. Big day plan.
Yeah, gonna
firing up the grill.
Fire up the grill, go to the pool, and look at the fireworks.
Great. Well, I'm sure the Colts are hoping for some offensive fireworks amid
nice.
some questions at quarterback.
Nice.
But there's lots of reasons to be optimistic when you look at who is playing around the quarterback, which is going to be the first thing we're looking at here today as we spotlight our 31st team in a 32-team series. I'm definitely not counting down at this stage to be done doing each one of the roster assessments, but we are putting each one of the players for the Colts roster into buckets, such as cornerstones, quality starters, sufficient level starters, replacement level players, quality depth, rookies, incomplete evaluations, non-roster caliber players, and practice squad caliber players. And when we're done all 32 teams, we're going to have a chance to be able to grade the rosters across the league. And today's the Colts moment in the sun. We're going to start with the skill players and then move to the trenches and back seven. And you can tell, I think, when you look at this skill group, that it's a group that's had a lot of top 100 picks invested in it. It's all said and done, because literally it's Pittman was a second-round pick. A.D. Mitchell was a second-round pick. Alec Pierce was a second-round pick. Josh Downs was a third-round pick. Tyler Warren was a first-round pick. Jonathan Taylor was a top 40 pick. Like, you just go right down the list, and it's like, man, whether it's Daniel Jones or Anthony Richardson, I'm not too concerned about the raw talent level of what is around him to work with and throw the football to. But Jelani Woods also, by the way, was a third-round pick in 2022. I know he hasn't played in 3 years now. This will be his third season with no snaps since 22. But we got a lot invested in the skill group here.
Yeah, and the quarterbacks are both top 10 picks, and they're the biggest questions, right?
Yeah,
it's the other guys that look pretty good. And I think that's what gives me a level of hope about whether it's Daniel Jones or Anthony Richardson, is I don't think I look at this skill player situation and feel like it's lacking anything. In fact, I love the blend of skill sets where you have who I think is an ideal X receiver in Pittman, who's a route runner, a ball winner, physical player, and a lot of respect for what he was able to do last year through a back injury. I think Josh Downs is your ideal slot player. He's become explosive, yards after catch, a big play guy. Alec Pierce, speaking of big plays, what he averaged 22 yards per catch last year as a height, weight, speed guy down the field. And A.D. Mitchell is always open. I've spent the time studying his game quite a bit. The dude is a route runner, and you just don't expect a player of his stature to be able to get in and out of breaks so smoothly. And that's your fourth receiver? And Tyler Warren's part of this mix now? Oh, by the way, Jonathan Taylor, welcome back, 1,400 yards last year. This is a loaded skill group situation. It's just a matter of, can they get reasonable quarterback play? But I think these guys will give them their best chance to maximize their quarterback.
Yeah, and I think that's I'm in the same boat as you as far as liking a lot of the DNA, the different body types that you have. Now, I think there are some central themes. This is not, all things considered, a small skill group. Pittman's a physical player, even though he's not huge. Alec Pierce is the raw height, weight, speed type guy. A.D. Mitchell's not a small guy, but super twitched up. I think his work at the catch point getting a little better, I think could help yield some better production there, but also more catchable targets for A.D. Mitchell is on my wish list for things that you want to see for a second-year player. Josh Downs, I think, has monster potential as far as just the guy who gets buckets. And I know you were a huge Josh Downs guy out of UNC. So it's looking promising. Tyler Warren, we were both huge fans of. Like they've been hacking away at the tight end room for the last couple of years. And finally the levee broke and they gave a first round draft choice to the room. But man, like if this group can't get it for one of these two quarterbacks, I think it's going to tell you everything you probably need to know about both of them.
Yeah.
Well said and done.
No question. I think this might be the best blocking tight end situation in the league. When you're trotting out Mo Alley Cox and Drew Ogletree, both 260-pound plus guys to go with Tyler Warren, who can move bodies, and they're really deep at tight end. And I think Khalil Herbert is a nice complementary player to Jonathan Taylor, where you kind of seen the production missing from Jonathan Taylor over the last few years has been in the passing game. And I think Khalil Herbert can come in and offset some of that and give them a pass catcher out of the backfield, not to mention a draft pick in DJ Giddens, who has some multifaceted ability here. So not really lacking anything. And there's a lot of opportunity.
Too, right?
Dude, it's young. And you still have a couple of paid. I mean, Taylor and Pittman are paid guys. Pierce that'll be an interesting contract conversation after the season to see how it goes. If I was
Alec Pierce, I think I would want to hit the market.
Oh, for sure. Like, De'Ami Brown got $10 million. Are you kidding?
I'm having a hard time thinking of a number that the Colts would put in front of me, especially given the uncertainty of the quarterback situation, that I would be like, yeah, I'll forego the open market and just sign the contract extension, right? Like you see a lot of potential with Pierce as a downfield player. Teams that like the vertical game are probably going to love him. You know where he'd be a monster?
Green Bay,
Washington. The heir to Mike Evans in Tampa Bay.
Oh gosh, yeah, that'd be good too.
With their other wide receivers that they have, like, I mean, it's a random thought. We're not here to talk about the Bucs, but Alec Pierce, like, go ball out, go average 22 yards a catch again this year, and see what's out there for you on the market. And if I'm the Colts, I have Pittman, I have Mitchell, I have Downs, I have Taylor. I'm probably not going to think too hard about giving that Godfather deal to Pittman, but I'll be okay with it because of the other players that I have.
If De'Ami Brown can get a $10 million contract on the open market, Alec Pierce can get blank. 20?
Are we going formally on the record here with a number prediction?
We're spitballing here on a random thing that came up in a Colts conversation.
And he's only 25 too.
Gabe Davis got 13 per.
I think, yeah. I mean, Gabe Davis is the name to invoke here. And that was 2 years ago versus what we're talking about for Pierce.
Unintentionally slandering Jaguars receiver contracts, but
I'd say the floor is probably 16.
Not bad.
And it's good getting if you could get it to have less than 40 catches a year, but dude had 37 catches for over 800 yards last year.
That's the thing about Richardson was, like, obviously the throw to throw inconsistency is maddening, but some absolute monster plays.
Yeah, some
Alec Pierce.
Big time bombs down the field.
All right. We got to get into this offensive line here in just a moment, where there's been some turnover, but I still think there's quite a bit to like here. We'll break it all down here next. So folks, be sure to stick with us. Summer sports are in full swing, and whether you're all about baseball under the lights, golf on the green, or high stakes soccer action, FanDuel is the best way to make every game even more exciting. You're already following the action, so why not make it a little more thrilling? With FanDuel, you can get in on the game while your friends are getting sunburned at the beach. I've been using FanDuel to track my favorite matchups, and the app keeps it fresh with new daily promotions and fun ways to bet. In fact, I just loaded it up this morning. I can get a 30% profit boost on a same-game parlay for an MLB game tonight. So I got a little action on that. And look, if you're trying to get in some Colts action, they got some tasty stuff here. You can get the over on 7.5 wins for the Colts at plus 100. Remember, this team won 8 games last year. You think they're at least that good this year? Well, you can get that at plus 100. You can get the Colts at plus 186 to make the playoffs. And if you're big on Tyler Warren, he's plus 2,500 to be the offensive rookie of the year. So check it out. And if you're new to FanDuel, it's the perfect time to sign up because new customers can bet just $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. So open the FanDuel app today or visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started.
By the way, also happy Jurassic World Rebirth release day.
You have been on this, man. You're into this movie.
Trailers look, it's going to get me.
I think you said last time that you're ready to get hurt again. These movies have not been good since they've been coming back.
Correct. It was like the first two were good, and then I didn't like Jurassic Park 3, and then they did a reset with Chris Pratt, and that was Jurassic World, and that one was good, and then everything they did with it since that was garbage.
How many are there?
I think this is the 7th.
Oh, geez.
It's Too Fast, Too Jurassic is the
I
next
see
one.
what's happening here.
Fast and Furious.
Hey, people keep showing up. You're doing your part. You're doing your 111th here.
They're gonna get my paycheck at some point in the next 5 days before we start next Monday. No dinosaurs on the Colts offensive line.
Oh, Bernard Raymond has short arms, but he's really good. Come on, that was good. That was good.
It's not bad.
That was good. I have him as a quality starter, Colts fan. I like Bernard Raymond, but
I have him as a quality starter as well.
All right.
I have Quentin Nelson still as a quality starter.
Same.
I think is it fair to say Quentin Nelson has not been the player that he was?
He set such a high bar.
He did.
Man.
His first 3 years in the league, he was incredible.
You're like, oh my goodness, is this like the next Mount Rushmore guard in the league? And he's still very, very good. But that level of dominance is a hard thing to sustain. And I don't think he's quite done it, but he's still a quality starter.
And I kind of view it's hard because we just got done living the entire Zach Martin era, right? And like I felt like Zach Martin did sustain the peak of his play for quite some time.
It's hard to do, man.
The rest of this group, there's another stable player in Braden Smith, but then changes obviously with Ryan Kelly. On the outs, Will Fries, who they didn't have for all of last year, but on the outs, his injury gave some snap opportunities to some new starters this year, which I think is helpful instead of being cold turkey with both of those guys in both of those spots. That would be probably a pretty tough thing to come into. But Tanner Bornolini was a 4th-round draft choice. Matt Goncalves is a 3rd-round draft choice. Both those guys projected as starters to come in and take those 2 spots at center and right guard.
I really liked the Bills played the Colts later in the season, so I watched a good amount of Colts film last year, and I've liked what I've seen from Tanner Bortolini and Wisconsin offensive linemen. They just tend to come through for you, and I think letting Ryan Kelly go in free agency was due in part to the comfort that they saw in Tanner Bortolini to step into this opportunity. And Goncalves, he got his reps at tackle, he projected to move inside. I think that might be the best spot for him, or maybe if the Colts wind up not retaining Braden Smith after the season, maybe he goes back out to right guard. But I'm not sleeping on Dalton Tucker as well, who got some opportunities to play late in the season last year, and I thought he was at least functional, all things considered, a low investment and a rookie stepping in and giving this team some reasonable play. So I know that they lost Kelly and Fries, but I also like that they're getting younger and way less expensive with these new players.
Mid-round draft choices in both those spots with 3 years of player control. I mean, you look at the long-term implications of it, and it's very promising.
Blake Freeland, developing player. We'll see how that goes. I've not been impressed by him. Jalen Travis, was he a 4th-round pick? That's probably the more exciting part of the tackle depth. And Danny Pinter, Walt French is a Wesley French. Those guys have been around for a while, some experienced players. But I think the depth is really about Dalton Tucker and Jalen Travis are the guys that get me excited.
So, and Travis, at least at the Senior Bowl, showed some level of inside. He's a big body, but showed some level of inside-outside versatility at the Senior Bowl too. So he's a very physically talented player, just rough around the edges because he had some injuries when playing in the Ivy League, and then he goes to Iowa State and plays 1 year at Iowa State. And that is, if you want to be an offensive line development franchise, and let's be honest, like Braden Smith's probably on the last legs as an unquestioned long-term starter in Indianapolis. He's turned into a great hit for them as a second-round pick.
Do you say that mostly because of the contract and it's expiring, right? So he signed. This is the last year of his deal, 4-year, $70 million deal.
Yeah,
it'd be 30 years. So that's what you're thinking is just because I think he can still go.
If I get Jalen Travis, he could still play at a good level, yes. But I mean, if things don't go well and you have some level of transition, now would that include Chris Ballard? Who knows, right? Like he's survived worse, right? If there's a coaching change, like, are you going to sign yourself back up for another big money contract with Braden Smith or with Jalen Travis, who's been a part of the organization and potentially gets time on task working with some guys that he'd be hypothetically playing next to? Like, I could see that being a succession plan answer for them. And I'm undecided on if there's disruption to team leadership or continuity in team leadership, if it helps his argument more to be the successor. But it's just hard for me to picture Braden Smith, new big contract at this stage of his career with Colts have a lot of young players on the offensive side of the ball that they're probably going to want to retain.
Yeah. And look, I think the decisions that they made with Kelly and Fries give you a good indication of what's going to happen with Smith, because both Fries and Kelly injuries were kind of an issue for them as their tenure in Indianapolis came to an end. That's been true with Braden Smith. 3 of the last 4 years, he's missed a reasonable amount of time. He's missed like at least 5 games for the last 5 years. I think they're going to play this out and then they'll figure it out, like whether it's Jalen Travis, whether it's Conclaves, to be the succession plan. And then they'll probably want to pay Bernard Raymond at left tackle.
Let me ask you this too. And I know we were looking like we were finally going to get to a defensive line before we're not going to do break.
Yeah.
If things go well this year and they go well with Daniel Jones, you got to pay Daniel Jones next offseason too. Now, I don't think that's going to be a $40+ million per year contract. Like
that's at best the Sam Darnold deal, right?
Probably.
If Daniel Jones goes out and has the Sam Darnold year, I think the best thing he's getting is the Sam Darnold contract.
It's the 3-year, $100 million with the first year in cash.
That's really a 1-year deal, and we'll see.
Yeah, because they could get out of that with no dead money after the first year. Right. But also, he's playing for 14. And before this, it's been a quarterback rookie contract. So just there's some moving parts as far as the economics of the offensive side of the ball.
Hear that. All right, we will go full defense on the other side of it, so folks, be sure to stick with us. What's the FanDuel odds on tomorrow's episode on the Houston Texans, us getting to the defense within the second segment? I don't know. We'll see.
I'm gonna say it happens because I subconsciously want it to happen at least once this week.
Compelling team to discuss, but we'll keep the main thing today, which is the Indianapolis Colts. We're talking defensive line here. Dude, they have a lot of tenured players here. That was one of the things that I was really surprised by, just how long guys like Grover Stewart and Tyquan Lewis have been along here, man. They keep on bringing them back. DeForest, Buckner, Grover Stewart, still a defensive tackle combination that I really like. We'll see about the depth. I think that's kind of the question here at defensive tackle. I love Buckner and Stewart, but Ade Adebaware has not really done much. He'll have a good opportunity to get some snaps this year. Mm-hmm. I don't think anything of Neville Gallimore. I think he's a replacement level player. Tim Smith's a big body guy. It's a rookie. We'll see there. So I think they're loaded with question marks behind Buckner and Stewart, although I really like Buckner and Stewart, but they might have to play a lot of snaps this year.
And I think that's the concern for both guys being maturing players, right? You know, Buckner's on the north side of 30. Stewart came in 17. He's 31. Like, can you be 700+ snap horses a piece in 2025? Like that's the question that I have with that group. And they got to hope some of these other guys rise to the occasion, because I agree with you. Now, the good news is Some of that load can be lightened by Tyquan Lewis.
100%. Yeah,
I think
reduce.
some of that load can be lightened by JT Tuimalu and Kwity Paye as guys who have heavy hands. If you need to play under fronts or you want to reduce the end down inside, I think you have some flexibility with body types to do it. And for me, I think the edge room is the most impressive room on this side of the football from top to bottom. I think they have a lot to work with here.
Especially with Samson Ebukam coming back off injury. Like, you kind of forget that he exists here, to go with Kwity Paye, to go with Leatu Latu going into his second season, to go with JT Tuimalu, who was his second round pick that I really liked. So they're really loaded here. And I do agree that part of their equation for interior reps is reducing guys inside, which we've seen Lou Anarumo do a ton. Like, Cam Sample was a player in Cincinnati that was an inside-outside player, and I think that'll be true for some of these guys as well. So the development of Latu, I think, is a big story here. The return of Ebukam is a big story here. The arrival of Tuimalu is a big story here. And then Kwity Paye. This is a contract year for him, if I'm not mistaken. And, there's a lot riding on that. I mean, the money that could be there for him versus not based on the production he has this year is going to be a big deal. So I'm pretty comfortable with this front. I have, in terms of grades, I have Buckner still as a cornerstone, Stewart as a quality starter. I have Paye and Ebukam as sufficient level starters. Latu is an incomplete, but I like where that can head. I think Lewis is a quality depth player, so there's quite a bit to work with in my mind.
Yeah, I have Buckner and Stewart both as quality starters. I have Paye, Ebukam, sufficient starters, Latu, incomplete evaluation. I would lean sufficient level starter as the floor for him based off his sample size last year. JT's a rookie, obviously. Tyquan Lewis, quality depth.
So the Colts used to have all the linebackers, right? And now it's just Zaire Franklin.
What's that song about, like, where have all the Cowboys gone? Do you know who sings that?
Yeah, I think that's is that Miranda Lambert? I don't know. I don't, dude.
That's an accurate statement.
I wasn't expect you to say that, but
Paula Cole.
Okay, yeah. No,
where have all the Cowboys gone? Where have all the linebackers gone? And
well, dude, they've had some chance. Like, I thought when Jermaine Pratt came free from Cincinnati, the reunion was going to happen. And then no. And then EJ Speed dangled forever, and then he didn't come back. And it's like, we're counting a lot on Jalen Carlies to step in here as the running mate to Franklin. I think Franklin's really good. He's a quality starter for me, but I don't think you can look at Carlies, Olubi, McGrone, Phillips and feel like you.
Wow, no Joe Bachie love.
Yeah, I didn't even mention his name. So we'll see how it comes together.
Here's the good news. If you want the good news, teams that have questions at linebacker can often offset some of the pressure by having good interior defensive line play to protect them. I think they have that in Grover Stewart as a run defender and a diverse safety room. I agree with everything you said about the linebackers. It's whoever ends up being linebacker 2 through probably linebacker 2 and 3. I'm not going to feel comfortable with their spot on the depth chart, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you have Cam Bynum, who's coming in compensated handsomely, coming over from Minnesota. You have Nick Cross as a former third-round draft choice.
Coming along. He's still young, dude. He's only 24 this year.
Once upon a time, Rodney Thomas was looking like a promising player as a high post player. Daniel Scott, fifth-round draft choice. They have some high IQ players in the safety room. And then they drafted Justin Wally, who I think you project him as a safety nickel hybrid type. I think you just have a lot of moving pieces that can play on the second level. Not all of them as a stack player in the box, but you have enough players that can play the apex defender and can play back that I think you can maybe move some parts around and get this group some some viable sub-package groupings when you get into obvious passing down distances.
Well, yeah, and I think what's interesting about that equation getting into sub, Kenny Moore's outstanding, right? I still think he's a dude. And sometimes they would sneak him outside. Maybe they will still. I'm not sure. That Travarius Ward obviously going to play all the snaps. And I think Jalen Jones has come along at a reasonable level as a 7th-round pick. Not that he's got a death grip on anything, but I think he's proven a lot to this point. But I think that gives them some options to be interchangeable with their safeties and maybe even live in a world where you keep Ward, Moore, and Jones on the field and you go with one linebacker and kind of play one of those safeties in a low alignment, more 3 safety stuff, but still with a nickel defender on the field or a slot defender on the field. I think there's some options here. And, I think Lou Anarumo, if there's anything I've learned about him throughout his career, is that he's really versatile with the looks and how they're willing to use particularly their back 7 players in a lot of different ways. They'll change their fronts. And so I think there's good versatility here. And as a coach, I think has a chance to maximize it.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see how, with a new scheme, you also have 2 highly compensated new starters in the secondary. I think that's the thing for me with Indianapolis as a whole, as a team, is you can see the foundation of like players that are either recent draft picks or tenured starters, but then you got Ward and Bynum on the back end. You got Daniel Jones at quarterback. You got a new defensive scheme that you have to kind of tie everything together with. You got the 2 new starters on the interior of the offensive line that showed you saw flashes from Bortolini, but like you're the unquestioned starter at center now. How does it gel? That to me, for a team that went 8-9, but collected, was it 4 wins in the back half of the season against teams that picked in the top 10 in the draft? Like,
yeah,
there was reasons to feel like you were close, but then there were also reasons to feel like you were far away. And to have the change and how it all comes together is, I think they're a high variance team to project. You could tell me they win 10 games and I'd believe you. You could tell me that they win 6 games and I believe you.
Yeah, but I think they have the type of floor where I don't think this is a 5 or 6 win team. I
You'd
think
have to have catastrophic quarterback play. You'd have to have some key injuries on the defense.
They had catastrophic quarterback play last year and they still won 8 games.
Right, because they beat 4 teams that picked in the top 10 in the back half of the season. It's what
is are we sure? Is this
a
daunting schedule?
You
need to. If it's going to be about the schedule, then let's look at the schedule. Are they playing cupcakes all year?
Home first 2 weeks. That's good. It's Dolphins and Broncos first 2 weeks.
I'm sure they'd like to be 1-1 through that.
You want to give them 1?
Give them 1.
We'll give them 1. Tennessee, at LA Rams the next 2.
I think they can win at Tennessee.
You think they're going to sweep the Titans this year?
I think it's early in the season for Tennessee. Okay. I don't like them going to the Rams, no.
All right, so we have them at 2-2 right now. Home against the Raiders and the Cardinals.
We can get at least one of those, right? Just one?
Yeah. I think we'll get 1, so we go 3-3. Mm-hmm. At Chargers, home against Titans.
I don't like that stretch. Maybe the Titans.
Yes, let's say 4, 3.5, 4.
3. Let's go 3.5.
3.5. At Pittsburgh.
Don't like it.
Okay. The international game. Atlanta on November 9th.
We can maybe give them a half here.
Okay, so that's 4.
4. That'd be an even 4.
Okay. At Kansas City.
Don't like it.
Home against Houston.
Don't like it.
At Jacksonville.
Let's do a split with Jacksonville.
All right, so that's
5.
Going to be 5. At Seattle. Don't like it.
I don't like it.
Okay. Home against San Francisco.
Don't like it.
We already said split against Jacksonville. Last game that we get to is
all right.
But there's games in here that, like, you could tell me that they win. I think the variance for me is between 6 and 10, which is going to be a very large discrepancy, or like that's a large bucket to bucket the wins into. But it depends on the gelling of the quarterback play. It depends on the back end and how it comes together. And I really think the health of the defensive front, and then obviously the 2 new starters and how that whole chemistry experiment works together with the offensive line with 2 new starters. They're a really fascinating team, but they're not hurting for talent. I think that's the thing that I came away with in a lot of different ways looking at the Colts.
Well, and you're not going to give them a lot of benefit of the doubt when you're looking at it in early July because of what have we seen? We saw Daniel Jones be a laughing stock for the Giants in an established situation.
Yeah.
And Anthony Richardson and the variants that exist there. Like I'm not going to give you the benefit of the doubt until I see stable quarterback play.
Joe, it's also worth noting this team plays 3 home games after Halloween for the entire season.
So you better start hot.
So because they lose a home game to the international game in week 10. Their home games after October 26th are Houston, San Francisco, and Jacksonville. And 2 of those 3 are weeks 16 and 17.
So 6 of their last 9 are played away from Lucas Oil.
Yeah.
Well, I guess on the flip side of that is 2, 4, 6 of their first 9 are at Lucas Oil. So
no, it's 5 of the first 8.
Because
math. There's the international game.
The Atlanta game. That's right. That's right. Yeah.
So 5 of the first 8 at home.
6 of the last 9 on the road.
That's going to do it for us. Little Draft Dudes Do Math to wrap up Wednesday, July 2nd, 2025. Kyle Crabbs, Joe, appreciate you guys as always for checking out the show. Make it a great rest of your day. That's going to do it for us here. We are out of here. We'll talk to you all again tomorrow to talk about the Houston Texans.